There are landscapes on Earth so strange that they seem less like the work of nature and more like the remnants of a lost civilization. Perfect cliffs, impossibly balanced boulders, and towering rock formations rising through the clouds make it hard to believe they were shaped by nothing more than wind, water, ice, and time. Today, we will explore the most surreal rock formations on the planet, natural wonders that challenge the imagination and blur the line between reality and the impossible. So let's begin where the ground first stops behaving the way it should, with the rocks that seem to have forgotten the rules of gravity. Arches National Park, Utah, United States. Our journey opens in the high desert of southern Utah, in a place that holds more stone gateways than anywhere else on Earth. Over 2,000 natural sandstone arches, each one a doorway opening onto empty sky. What makes this entire region possible is hidden far below the surface, a thick layer of ancient salt that never stops moving. As that buried salt shifts and flows under enormous pressure, the sandstone resting on top of it cracks, bends, and slowly pulls apart, and from those fractures, the arches are born. Even the dark soil between the rocks is alive here. It is a delicate biological crust, and a single careless footprint can take half a century to heal. 3 formations define the park. Balanced Rock is a boulder roughly as heavy as 3 city buses, perched on a slender stone pedestal in the open desert. Stand beneath it and you will instinctively step back, certain that today is the day it finally lets go. It is not. Landscape arch stretches farther than a football field from end to end, yet its center has been eroded into a ribbon of rock so thin it looks like it could snap in a breeze, and in fact, slabs have peeled away from it in living memory, sending visitors scrambling back from the trail. And delicate arch, standing alone on the lip of a sandstone bowl, with the snow-capped La Salle Mountains framed behind it, became so beloved that the state of Utah stamped its silhouette onto millions of license plates. I have watched the sunset light pour through that arch and turn the whole bowl the color of hot coals, and I can tell you no photograph has ever done it justice. Mexican Hat Rock, Utah, United States. Not far away, the desert offers up one of the most absurd balancing acts in all of America. Picture an enormous sandstone disc, broad and flat, sitting on top of a narrow stone stalk, the whole thing unmistakably resembling a giant sombrero tossed onto the landscape. The illusion of imminent collapse is overwhelming. The proportions look physically impossible. The secret is in the layers. The cap on top is made of the hardest sandstone in the formation, and it shrugs off erosion far better than the softer red rock beneath it. So the base keeps shrinking while the brim keeps surviving, year after year. Geologists are clear-eyed about the future. That slender neck is wearing away as we speak. And one day, In the geological blink of an eye, the hat will fall. Until then, it remains one of the most photographed roadside oddities in the Four Corners region, the kind of thing drivers spot from the highway and pull over for without quite knowing why. Golden Rock, Mount Kyaiktiyo, Myanmar. Now travel to the misty mountains of southeastern Myanmar, to what may be the most reckless boulder on the planet. The Golden Rock weighs in the neighborhood of 600 tons, and it sits at the very edge of a cliff that drops thousands of feet, yet it leans out past the edge and does not tumble. Its base is not fused to the mountain at all. It rests on a contact point so impossibly small that, in places, daylight slips through the gap underneath it. It has held this pose through earthquake after earthquake. Tremors that have leveled buildings elsewhere in the country have left this teetering boulder untouched. Pilgrims will tell you the balance is held in place by a single strand of the Buddha's hair, enshrined in the small pagoda built atop the stone. Over some 2,500 years, the faithful have pressed so much gold leaf onto its surface that the entire head-shaped boulder now glows like a lantern among the mountain clouds. I have stood on that platform at dawn, watching the mist part to reveal the rock floating in golden light, and I understood instantly why generations of pilgrims have made the grueling climb on faith alone. Geological, Norway. From a sacred boulder we move to a terrifying one. High in the Norwegian fjordlands, a single round stone is wedged into a vertical crevice, suspended above a drop of nearly 3,300 feet. It did not roll there. It was carried by a glacier roughly 10,000 years ago and dropped neatly into a V-shaped fissure, where the two rock walls pinch it from either side. That horizontal pressure is all that holds it, and it holds beautifully, steady even with a hiker standing right on top of it. There are no fences here and no safety ropes. When fog fills the fjord below, stepping onto the stone feels exactly like stepping out over nothing at all. The hike-in runs about 7 miles, and even after all that effort, visitors will queue for hours just to spend a few seconds standing on the void. Trolltunga, Norway. Stay in Norway a little longer, because the country keeps one more impossible perch. Locals call it the Troll's Tongue, a long, flat blade of solid rock that juts straight out from a cliff face and hangs in open air, with a drop of some 2,300 feet beneath it and absolutely nothing holding it up. It is a leftover from the last ice age. Glaciers gouged into the mountainside roughly 10,000 years ago and left this stubborn core sticking out like an outstretched tongue. The authorities have deliberately chosen not to install railings, which means the raw, knee-weakening exposure has been preserved exactly as nature left it. You walk out onto that tongue with nothing between you and the lake far below. There is no cable car and no shortcut. To stand there for even a moment, You commit to a brutal trek of around 17 miles that can swallow the better part of 12 hours, climbing through alpine terrain where the weather can turn from sunshine to sleet without warning. I have met hikers at the trailhead, fresh and grinning, and seen them stagger back at dusk, soaked and silent, and every one of them said the photograph at the edge was worth it. Al-Nasla Rock, Taima, Saudi Arabia. Deep in the Arabian desert stands a freestanding sandstone block, nearly 20 feet tall, that is divided down the middle by a single vertical slice. The cut is so perfectly straight and the face is so polished that visitors routinely insist it must have been made by a laser or a saw. It was not. The leading explanation is brutally ordinary. In a desert where temperatures swing violently between scorching days and frigid nights, rock expands and contracts over and over until it fractures, and once the split formed, thousands of years of wind-blown sand sanded the faces smooth. Another camp of geologists suspects an ancient fault line that simply eroded into a clean gap, the two halves drifting a hair's breadth apart over the ages. There is no shortage of people, of course, who prefer to believe a laser-armed civilization passed through, and standing in front of that flawless seam. I will admit the temptation is real. But the evidence points firmly back to the patient, unglamorous work of heat, cold, and sand. Whatever the cause, the rock guards a clue to its age on its surface. Carvings believed to have been left by the Thamutic people more than 3,000 years ago. Split Apple Rock, Tasman Bay, New Zealand. Now picture a massive granite boulder sitting in the shallows of the sea, roughly 120 million years old, cleaved perfectly in two, as though a giant sword had come down through it. Local legend says two gods, locked in a battle for victory, struck the stone apart to settle the contest. The reality is gentler and, in its own way, more astonishing. A trickle of meltwater from the Ice Age is thought to have seeped into a hairline crack, frozen, expanded, and over unimaginable spans of time, pried even this steel-hard granite cleanly apart. Thousands of tons of rock, and yet the two halves still balance on a narrow base, while the waves break around them, holding their pose through every storm the sea has thrown at them. Look at it one way, and it's a colossal apple. Tilt your head, and it becomes a great mouth opening at the edge of the sea. Today, you can paddle a kayak straight through the gap between the halves, gliding through a gateway nature, split open ages before anyone existed to name it, and there are few stranger feelings in all my travels than slipping through that crack with cold seawater beneath you and 100 million years of granite on either side. Manpupuner, Komi Republic, Russia. On a remote, windswept plateau in northern Russia stand 7 monolithic stone pillars, each rising on its own above the surrounding forest and ancient rock. Some climb as high as a 14-story building, and many balance on bases unnervingly narrow for their height. Geologists read them as the resistant cores of an old mountain left standing after wind, ice, and rain stripped away the softer rock around them over roughly 200 million years. Depending on the light and where you stand, the pillars seem to morph into human heads or crouching animals, which is precisely why indigenous legends have gathered around them for centuries. There is no road in. Reaching the Seven Giants means a helicopter or a multi-day trek through true wilderness, across terrain that turns hostile the moment the weather changes. In winter, when snow and ice sheath the pillars, they stand out sharper than ever against the dark, frozen plateau, and the indigenous peoples of the region long held them sacred, telling of giants frozen mid-stride as they cross the mountains. It is the kind of place that earns its legends honestly. When you finally stand among the seven, after days of effort, the silence and the scale make the old stories feel less like myth and more like memory. Zhangjiajie and Tianmen Mountain, Hunan, China. Few places on Earth feel as much like a dream as the deep valleys of Hunan province, where more than 3,000 sandstone pillars rise vertically from the forest floor. Many soar close to 1,000 feet, the height of an 80-story tower, yet remain stable despite tapering to bases narrower than their crowns. When fog floods the valleys, only the tops break through, hanging in the air like islands cut loose from the ground. Hard to believe, but this entire region sat beneath the ocean some 380 million years ago, before it rose and was sculpted by water and wind into the forest of stone that inspired the floating mountains of modern cinema. Walk the glass-floored skywalks bolted to the cliffs, and you can look straight down through hundreds of feet of empty air to the valley floor, the pillars rising around you like a city built by something that was never human. Nearby, Tianmen Mountain offers a different marvel, a natural rock arch nearly 5,000 feet above sea level. An opening so vast a jet could fly through it, and pilots have, threading aircraft cleanly through the gap set within what became China's very first national forest park. Shiprock, New Mexico, United States. Out on the flat desert of the American Southwest rises the frozen throat of a volcano that erupted some 30 million years ago. Shiprock climbs nearly 1,600 feet, the height of a 200-story building, a dark, jagged tower, standing in stark contrast to the empty plain around it. Long, thin walls of solidified magma radiate from its base for miles across the sand, like the spine of a buried dragon. The Navajo people saw something else in it, the petrified body of a great winged creature that, in legend, once carried their ancestors across the desert. By daylight, the rock looks gray and grim, like a wrecked ship marooned on a sea of sand. At sunset, it burns orange, red, as though the old fire that built it had never fully gone out. Out of respect for its sacred status, climbing has been completely forbidden since 1970, a ban I have always thought fitting, because some places are meant to be witnessed from a distance rather than conquered. Víðsfjörður, Iceland. On Iceland's lonely northern coast stands a sea stack so striking that locals call it the country's strangest stone beast. Its name translates roughly to white shirt, though the pale crown is no mineral at all, it's seabird droppings, layered over many seasons. The 50-foot stack is the hardened core of an old volcano left behind after the softer rock around it surrendered to the sea, which then carved two arches through its base, shaping it into the likeness of an enormous rhinoceros bending down to drink. Icelandic folklore tells of a troll who lingered too long in the dark and was caught by the sunrise and turned to stone. The Atlantic batters this coast so fiercely that engineers have reinforced the base with concrete to keep the waves from finally toppling it. At low tide, the wet black sand mirrors the whole beast in perfect reflection. Skull Rock, Joshua Tree, California, United States. In the high desert of Southern California sits perhaps the most convincing natural skull on Earth. Two large hollows in a single granite boulder line up exactly where the eye sockets of a human skull would be, and the resemblance stops people cold. No one carved it. Rainwater pooled in cracks within the granite, and, over thousands of years, slowly dissolved and scooped out the stone until the eyes emerged. It sits right beside a paved road, set apart from the millions of rounded boulders scattered through the park, which makes it easy to spot from a distance. Under the relentless desert wind and the brutal swing between daytime heat and nighttime cold, its surface constantly sheds fine, sand-sized grains, and it has become one of the most photographed stops in the entire park. Three Whale Rock, Buangkhan, Thailand. High in the mountains of northeastern Thailand, three enormous rock formations create the illusion of a family of whales cruising through a sea of clouds. What makes it stranger still is that these whales rest on a jungle-covered summit with no ocean for hundreds of miles. The sandstone here is around 75 million years old, dating back to the age of the dinosaurs, and over tens of millions of years, seasonal rains and steady winds wore the softer layers away and left three long, curved forms lined up almost perfectly: a father whale, a mother, and a calf. Visitors are allowed to walk out onto the backs of the two adults, but the baby is too narrow and too steep to climb. Once almost unknown, this viewpoint has become one of the most sought-after photo spots in the region. Mount Dengxia, Guangdong, China. Among the red rock landscapes of southern China, Mount Dengxia has earned a reputation as one of the strangest natural museums on Earth because it holds two formations with unmistakable resemblances to the male and female human form. One is a sandstone pillar around 90 feet tall, rising straight into the sky with natural grooves that sharpen its distinctive shape. The other is hidden in dense forest, a fissure in the rock more than 30 feet high, marked by unusual color and symmetry. Neither was touched by human hands. Both were shaped over tens of millions of years by wind, rain, erosion, and the slow geometry of fracturing stone. Because they are carved from red sandstone, their surfaces shift from soft orange-pink in bright sun to deep crimson when fog or sunset arrives. Tied to local beliefs about fertility and the balance of opposites, the site draws couples who come to pray for children. Sigiriya, Sri Lanka. Out of the flat central plains of Sri Lanka rises a single red rock, around 650 feet tall, crowned by the ruins of an ancient palace. So abruptly does it erupt from level ground that local legend has at times reached for explanations beyond this world. At its foot, a hydraulic fountain system built more than 1,500 years ago still springs to life during the rainy season, powered by nothing but natural water pressure. Along the climb, the famous mirror wall was once polished with egg white and beeswax until it could reflect the people walking past it. To reach the near vertical summit, ancient visitors pass through the Lion Gate, where two colossal stone claws still stand guard all that remains of an enormous lion sculpture through whose mouth climbers once entered. Halfway up, sheltered in a rock pocket, frescoes of graceful women have kept their color for 15 centuries. And the great unanswered question endures to this day. How did people in the 5th century haul such enormous quantities of brick and stone to that height, with no machines at all, and build a king's pleasure palace in the sky? It is the kind of mystery that has kept archaeologists returning for a lifetime, and standing at the top, with the green plain stretching to the horizon in every direction, you feel the full weight of the question. Mount Fanjing, Guizhou, China, now to perhaps the most vertiginous temple on the planet. In the mountains of southwestern China, a sanctuary rests atop the Red Cloud's golden summit, a natural stone spire shooting straight into the sky to a height of around 7,600 feet. Two temples crown the spire, joined by a tiny stone bridge thrown across a narrow chasm at a dizzying altitude, so that the whole thing appears to float among the clouds. There is no easy way up. Pilgrims climb roughly 8,000 steep stone steps, and at the most dangerous stretches they cling to iron chains anchored directly into the cliff. Clouds and fog shroud this mountain for more than 200 days a year, leaving the steps slick and unforgiving, where the smallest misstep carries real consequences. Mount Sanqing, Jiangxi, China. Consider it the largest open-air gallery of stone sculpture in the world. Across this mountain range in eastern China, thousands of strange granite pillars rise above a rolling sea of clouds. The name itself honors the three supreme deities of Taoism, echoed in three high peaks standing shoulder to shoulder. The landscape took shape over long ages of tectonic uplift, fracturing, and erosion, which slowly separated the granite into pillars, peaks, and natural sculptures. One formation, known as the Giant Python, rising from the mountain, stands more than 400 feet tall, climbing vertically out of the mist. Nearby, a tilted pinnacle called the Oriental Goddess reveals the face, nose, and flowing hair of a young woman gazing down toward the valley, a resemblance so precise that no caption is needed to see it. At sunset, the light dyes the entire cloud sea, a vivid orange-pink, washing color across every granite peak, and the boardwalks clinging to the cliffs seem to hang in midair above the glowing mist. Taoist pilgrims have climbed here for well over 1,000 years, and you do not have to share their faith to feel why they chose this mountain. Singhi de Bamaraha, Madagascar. The name means, roughly, the place where you cannot walk barefoot, and it is not an exaggeration. Across western Madagascar stretches a forest of razor-edged limestone so sharp it can slice through heavy hiking boots. "200 million years ago, this was a coral reef. Tectonic forces lifted it from the sea, and then rain, slightly acidic, dissolved channels down through the limestone and carved it into a dense field of stone spikes and blades, sharpened from above by wind and from below by groundwater. The terrain is so hostile that large pockets of it have never been fully explored, and the few trails that exist depend on ladders, cables, and bridges bolted directly into the rock. Remarkably, white sifaka lemurs still leap from blade to blade on bare feet, protected by special fleshy pads, crossing terrain that would shred a human in seconds. For human visitors, the signature thrill is a suspension bridge slung high above the Gorge of Needles, a swaying span over a maze that looks designed to make sure no one who falls ever climbs back out. Cappadocia, Turkey. In central Turkey rises the largest field of volcanic mushroom pillars on the planet, and the only one where people have made their homes inside the stone itself. Many of the pillars have soft lower bodies topped by broad, hard caps balanced like natural hats. The volcanic rock is soft enough that ancient inhabitants carved it into houses, tunnels, and entire churches, even whole underground cities, descending many levels into the earth where thousands once sheltered from invaders. The minerals within shift the valley's color with the changing light, sliding from pale pink to golden yellow to deep orange red. Their odd shapes earned them the old name fairy chimneys, and folk imagination once peopled them with spirits living inside the stone. And at sunrise, the sky above fills with hundreds of hot air balloons drifting silently over the valleys, the single most unforgettable way to look down over this landscape, and an image that, once seen in person, never quite leaves you. Goblin Valley, Utah, United States. Hidden in the remote deserts of Utah lies a valley that feels lifted from a science fiction film. Thousands of squat, mushroom-shaped rocks scattered across the red ground like a silent army of stone creatures frozen mid-March. Geologists trace them to a sandstone layer laid down more than 170 million years ago, when the region was a shallow sea and coastal plain. Over the eons, wind, rain, and chemical weathering ate away the softer rock below and left harder caps balanced on top like little helmets. As the sun moves, the rocks seem to grow eyes, noses, and mouths, their expressions shifting from one hour to the next. Best of all, this is one of the rare stone parks where you are free to wander among the formations rather than being confined to a marked trail. Misty Badlands, New Mexico, United States. Out in the Greystone Valleys of northwestern New Mexico spreads what many call North America's largest natural sculpture garden, a dry, near-lifeless terrain that looks like a copy of Mars. "70 million years ago, this was a tropical swamp where dinosaurs roamed. After the ancient climate collapsed, wind and water wore down the soft rock and left behind thousands of clay pillars, mushroom stones, and petrified tree trunks. Deep within stands the alien throne, a natural formation hollowed and curved into the shape of a great chair sitting empty in the desert. Elsewhere, the cracked eggs lie split open at the top like enormous eggs abandoned in a dead world. And throughout, multi-ton boulders balance on slender clay columns, holding their poses for thousands of years while looking ready to topple at any second. There are no signs here, no marked paths, and no crowds you navigate by landmark and instinct. And the silence is so complete that your own footsteps feel like an intrusion. Of all the places I have visited, this is the one that most convincingly feels like another planet, a stretch of Mars somehow smuggled into the American Southwest. The White Desert, Farafra, Egypt. In Egypt's Farafra region lies the only desert on Earth where it appears to snow in scorching heat, except the snow is stone. The landscape is built from pale limestone left behind by an ancient sea rich in marine sediment. When the sea withdrew and the climate turned arid, wind and sand carved the soft rock into mushrooms, sharp pillars, and layered spiral forms, some weighing dozens of tons yet balancing on tiny bases. The whole field behaves like a chameleon, sliding from yellow and orange to peach and deep purple as the sun sets. Many travelers choose to camp overnight among the formations, when moonlight turns the entire desert into something that no longer seems to belong to this planet. Tassili, Nadjer, Algeria. In the hot, dry heart of the Algerian Sahara stands a vast stone city, tens of thousands of mushroom-shaped pillars eroded from sandstone over millions of years. But the real treasure here is not the rock, it's what the rock remembers. The steep walls of this maze preserve paintings as old as 10,000 years, including strange human figures whose heads resemble helmets or antennas. Across more than 15,000 drawings and engravings, the site records the hunting, herding, and daily life of ancient communities layered across deep time. Images of crocodiles and hippos reveal that this parched land was once wet enough to hold rivers, lakes, and freshwater life. And clinging to the cracked stone, twisted desert cypress trees have survived for more than 2,000 years. The red stone forest of the Chinese desert, China. In the deserts of China rises a field of rock so regular, so densely packed, that it looks more like an alien landing site than a natural formation. Thousands of red rock pillars repeat the same shapes across the terrain, an order too uniform to seem accidental. Many of them weigh several tons yet stand balanced on narrow bases after millions of years of weathering. The surfaces look sharp and solid, but the interiors are mostly soft, compressed sand that can be scraped apart with a fingernail. At sunset, whole sections flare from orange-brown to brilliant red as the light strikes the layered rock at an angle. The place was little known until 1999, when a local shepherd searching for lost livestock stumbled upon it and put it on the map. Ha Long Bay, Vietnam. Off the coast of northeastern Vietnam rises what may be the strangest rock labyrinth on the planet, nearly 2,000 limestone mountains climbing straight out of the seabed. This landscape is the product of more than 280 million years of tectonic movement and ceaseless erosion by rain, wind, and seawater, which carved the limestone into sheer cliffs, deep caves, and hidden lagoons sealed inside the islands. Among the countless karsts, Trong Mai, the fighting cock, stands out. Two large rocks balanced on impossibly narrow bases, looking forever on the verge of collapse despite surviving millions of years of storms. And now so iconic, they have become an unofficial emblem of the bay. Slip a kayak into one of the hidden lagoons, reachable only through low sea caves that flood shut at high tide, and you enter a sealed world of green water ringed by vertical cliffs, utterly silent but for dripping stone. Even where the rock is sharp and nearly soilless, hardy plants force their roots into the cracks and drape the islands in green. Drift through the morning mist by boat, with the karsts emerging one after another out of the haze, and you will understand at once why UNESCO named this a World Heritage Site. Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. On the Atlantic coast of Northern Ireland lies one of the most precise geometric rock fields on Earth. Roughly 40,000 polygonal basalt columns packed tightly together. Tens of thousands of them have nearly perfect many-sided cross-sections and fit so closely that the gaps between blocks all but disappear. The field steps down toward the sea like a natural staircase, and legend ties it to a mythical stone bridge, once said to connect Ireland and Scotland built, the story goes, by a giant who tore the columns from the cliffs to cross the water and confront a rival. On the nearby cliff, around 60 columns reaching some 40 feet tall cluster into a shape resembling the great pipes of a church organ. All of it formed about 60 million years ago, when a flood of volcanic lava cooled rapidly, contracted, and fractured into these astonishingly regular columns. The same process that cracks drying mud, scaled up to the size of a coastline. Unlike many tightly fenced heritage sites, here you can walk across the columns, climb the basalt steps, and run your hands over the tightly interlocking stone yourself, which is exactly how a wonder like this should be met. Moraki boulders, Kukoi Beach, New Zealand. Scattered along a beach on New Zealand's South Island lie dozens of nearly perfect stone spheres, some weighing up to 7 tons, resting on the sand like fossilized eggs. Maori legend holds that they are the remains of baskets and gourds washed ashore after an ancient canoe was wrecked at sea. Science tells a slower story. Each sphere formed over roughly 5.5 million years as minerals gathered around a tiny core beneath an ancient seafloor, and the boulders are now revealed, one by one, as the waves erode the coastal cliffs and let them tumble onto the beach. The surfaces of many are veined with deep cracks like the shell of a turtle, and some, when broken open, reveal hollow centers lined with yellow mineral crystals. Yeahliu Geopark, Taiwan. On a stretch of Taiwan's northern coast spreads one of the strangest fields of coastal mushroom rock in the world, where pale yellow formations run along the shoreline like the surface of a dry planet set beside the sea. Beneath the surface, geological faulting combined with seawater erosion slice the sedimentary rock into squared-off blocks that look like giant cubes of tofu. In the higher ground, harder cores survived between the erosion channels and now stand as rounded pillars resembling candles melting above the waves. The ocean keeps carving new shapes, sandals, honeycombs, and stranger things still. The park's most famous resident is the Queen's Head, a slender stone neck leaning toward the sea in a pose that looks impossibly fragile, and which, like the entire coast, is quietly eroding away year after year. Geologists can already predict, with some sadness, the decade in which that famous neck will finally give way and the Queen will lose her head to the tide. It is a strange thing to stand before a wonder and know you are watching a countdown, but that is the honest truth of every formation shaped by the sea. Fly Geyser, Nevada, United States. In the desert of northern Nevada stands one of the most stubborn geysers on Earth, boiling and spraying hot mineral water continuously for more than 60 years with barely a pause. It was never meant to exist. In 1964, a geothermal well drilling attempt failed, and from that abandoned bore, mineral-rich water under pressure broke through the ground and began building 3 clustered stone towers that still vent steam into the air. The hot water keeps depositing minerals, layer upon layer, so the formation appears to be slowly, almost biologically growing. Its surreal red, green, and orange coloring comes from heat-loving bacteria thriving in the mineral water. Today, the site sits on land managed by the Burning Man organization, and only a small number of pre-booked visitors are ever allowed close. If there is one thing that connects all of these wonders, it is time. Not human time, but the immense patience of Earth itself. Wind, water, ice, and stone have shaped landscapes so extraordinary that they seem impossible. Yet many of these formations are fragile and will not last forever. Perhaps the greatest lesson they offer is this: the most remarkable creations are not made overnight. They are revealed, one grain of sand at a time, across spans of time beyond human imagination. Giant's Causeway, Northern Ireland, United Kingdom. On the Atlantic coast of Northern Ireland lies one of the most precise geometric rock fields on Earth, roughly 40,000 polygonal basalt columns packed tightly together. Tens of thousands of them have nearly perfect many-sided cross-sections and fit so closely that the gaps between blocks all but disappear. The field steps down toward the sea like a natural staircase, and legend ties it to a mythical stone bridge, once said to connect Ireland and Scotland built, the story goes, by a giant who tore the columns from the cliffs to cross the water and confront a rival. On the nearby cliff, around 60 columns reaching some 40 feet tall cluster into a shape resembling the great pipes of a church organ. All of it formed about 60 million years ago, when a flood of volcanic lava cooled rapidly, contracted, and fractured into these astonishingly regular columns. The same process that cracks drying mud, scaled up to the size of a coastline. Unlike many tightly fenced heritage sites, here you can walk across the columns, climb the basalt steps, and run your hands over the tightly interlocking stone yourself, which is exactly how a wonder like this should be met. Moraki boulders, Kukoi Beach, New Zealand. Scattered along a beach on New Zealand's South Island lie dozens of nearly perfect stone spheres, some weighing up to 7 tons, resting on the sand like fossilized eggs. Maori legend holds that they are the remains of baskets and gourds washed ashore after an ancient canoe was wrecked at sea. Science tells a slower story. Each sphere formed over roughly 5.5 million years as minerals gathered around a tiny core beneath an ancient seafloor, and the boulders are now revealed, one by one, as the waves erode the coastal cliffs and let them tumble onto the beach. The surfaces of many are veined with deep cracks like the shell of a turtle, and some, when broken open, reveal hollow centers lined with yellow mineral crystals. Geological Park, Taiwan. On a stretch of Taiwan's northern coast spreads one of the strangest fields of coastal mushroom rock in the world, where pale yellow formations run along the shoreline like the surface of a dry planet set beside the sea. Beneath the surface, geological faulting combined with seawater erosion slice the sedimentary rock into squared-off blocks that look like giant cubes of tofu. In the higher ground, harder cores survived between the erosion channels and now stand as rounded pillars resembling candles melting above the waves. The ocean keeps carving new shapes, sandals, honeycombs, and stranger things still. The park's most famous resident is the Queen's Head, a slender stone neck leaning toward the sea in a pose that looks impossibly fragile, and which, like the entire coast, is quietly eroding away year after year. Geologists can already predict, with some sadness, the decade in which that famous neck will finally give way and the Queen will lose her head to the tide. It is a strange thing to stand before a wonder and know you are watching a countdown, but that is the honest truth of every formation shaped by the sea. Fly Geyser, Nevada, United States. In the desert of northern Nevada stands one of the most stubborn geysers on Earth, boiling and spraying hot mineral water continuously for more than 60 years with barely a pause. It was never meant to exist. In 1964, a geothermal well drilling attempt failed, and from that abandoned bore, mineral-rich water under pressure broke through the ground and began building 3 clustered stone towers that still vent steam into the air. The hot water keeps depositing minerals, layer upon layer, so the formation appears to be slowly, almost biologically growing. Its surreal red, green, and orange coloring comes from heat-loving bacteria thriving in the mineral water. Today, the site sits on land managed by the Burning Man organization, and only a small number of pre-booked visitors are ever allowed close. If there is one thing that connects all of these wonders, it is time. Not human time, but the immense patience of Earth itself. Wind, water, ice, and stone have shaped landscapes so extraordinary that they seem impossible. Yet many of these formations are fragile and will not last forever. Perhaps the greatest lesson they offer is this: the most remarkable creations are not made overnight. They are revealed, one grain of sand at a time, across spans of time beyond human imagination.